In this video, I wanted to go deeper into how I go about photography. I've taken a cross-section using 8 photographs, all but one is street-related, and I explain in each case the background, the technical issues, and my thinking. I've included this image because of the issue of composition. It's a rather unusual picture because obviously most of the content is down at the bottom. It turns out that many years ago my wife had dragged me off, almost certainly unwillingly, to an art gallery, and there was a picture like this, and I do believe I even took a photograph of it in the gallery. Later on I'd taken this picture and I never made the connection consciously until my wife pointed it out later. So I think it's a valuable lesson in that even other art forms can be helpful in helping you find composition in something. The reason I've included this image is because it's to do with my thinking and the issue of a decisive moment. I actually look at Henri Cartier-Bresson's pictures and I see that it falls into two camps. Those that are impulsive, such as the little boy with 2 bottles of champagne, very proud of himself and shows an expression of happiness. And then there's the other, which is where he seems to have found a nice scene with the shape of the stairs, with a road in front of him, with walls of the buildings and things either side, and waits for someone to fill that space. Or the water, where there are wooden planks and you have to go across the planks to jump across, where again he's found a scene and then waits for someone to fill it. And I don't think that's often mentioned, or at least I haven't heard it mentioned. This fits into that. I was walking along and I'd found this building and the very grey tones that are there, and I actually took, I think, 4 to 5 pictures in this area, and basically I'd found my scene, my stage if you like, and was waiting for my actor or actress to come into the picture. So I think that there is some way you can look at a scene and then just wait rather than actually have to be quick off the mark, if you just prepare yourself for the situation that someone's going to walk into. I included this picture because it illustrates something that I do now. Ever since I really got back into photography and I go shopping or I go around Munich, even when I'm having a coffee break or having a pause, I still look at the world as if I'm about to take a picture. And this was a situation where I was having a cigarette and a coffee and just chilling out because I'd been wandering around town all day in the cold. And that's really the situation here. It just so happens that this little dog had gone off on its own and decided to ignore its owners because they were being boring, and it just lent itself. I took 4 or 5 shots of the thing, and I like it because it's just sweet. He's just on his own and doing his own thing. This is another case of finding a stage and waiting for people. Again, I had 5 or 6 shots here with different people, from bicycles going from left to right, right to left, people walking towards me, people walking away. I think the reason I've raised this one though was quite simply because Munich, probably like many cities where there are very nice buildings, or where there are shopping areas, you tend to get so many people that you can't really get a nice scene without having no clear subject. Quite often some of the side streets or just going off, following an old person often helps because they tend to avoid the crowd. So that's just an option in terms of trying to find places where it's a cleaner view of something and it's more clear as to what the subject is. This image was not one of these situations where I had a stage. This was very much more impulsive and recognizing what was happening in front of me. The building itself is a very long building, and other than the other side, where interestingly the cyclist was, there's virtually nobody there. You get 2 or 3 people wandering around aimlessly, sort of tourists that get lost basically. Other than that, you just get policemen going around, and in another one of my videos, I think it's Munich with a new old lens, there's also the photograph there of a couple of policemen. So this is a situation where it was purely impulsive, but the one thing I do tend to do is hang around nice buildings and nice architecture. This picture taught me a very, very valuable lesson. I was walking around, I think it was late autumn, sort of in the dark and sort of 6-7 o'clock at night. And the light, when I took this picture in the first 2 or 3 instances, was not as good, because the cobblestones and the bicycle at the front were not as well illuminated. What I actually did was I waited for a car to come along and took the shot using the car headlights to actually light up the road. So using the naturally available light, using that phrase loosely, and engineering my timing to exploit the car. Included this image, obviously it's not street, because I was using older lenses, Mamiya lenses, which are M42 screw mount, and I had a converter, and I was going around the English garden when I first got this lens and the converter, and was testing it. And the interesting thing that this taught me was that the lenses and the converter can change the way the colours and the light can get into the camera, such that in effect you get a rather unique signature of pictures, which can, under certain circumstances, be very, very attractive. I've included this last image really to cover a couple of things. First of all, again, it's the using of the headlights, but in this instance it was also water on the road, which basically gave me this backlight to the shape of the person moving. But the other aspect of this one was it was very, very slow. It was 1/10 of a second handheld. And the interesting thing about that is it's a throwback to my time with the Mamiya 35mm film camera. It's a very, very heavy camera, and I found myself able with that one to handhold at incredibly slow speeds. Now, this lens is one of the old AIS lenses, manual exposure, manual focusing, no anti-jiggle, anti-shake sort of protection. And I found that I was able also with the modern Nikon DSLR, especially with the AIS lenses, to be able to hold it in very, very tight and to hold it still. So I hope these images and the thinking behind them, the preparation behind them, the way I go about doing it, has given you some insight into some possibilities and opened up opportunities. Apologies for having a cold and a blocked nose, couldn't help it. If you've got any comments, if you have any opinions, if you have anything else that you'd like to add, throw the comment down below. Let's talk about it. Thanks.